flexing, you the ride till the end. I need you the most. That's why when you from like cats with the ghost. Not a drug, but I got you addicted. That's the real definition of a dose. Got short in the crowd, blushing, feeling my speed. She loving the way that I flow. She call me a dog, but just call me Billy, cause everything I do make me the GOAT. Facts.
What y'all know about it? But look, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Nah, nah, nah. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Yeah, yeah. So, since y'all new here, what's up? I'm just playing. Hey, so y'all saw the title, y'all saw the thumbnail. I'm gonna be giving y'all what y'all want, and that's some more of the triplets. Okay, okay. All right. So I'm gonna tell y'all what's up. All right, you wanna stay for this part to hear what I'm about to say. I'm gonna be reacting to their coming out story. Well, Nick's. I think Nick is the one. Let me not jump the gun and start thinking I know them, you know, by name, like who's who, like. But I'm just gonna think I remember that. I think it is Nick, the one that's coming out, but I will see. I'm gonna be also reacting to, not in this video, but next up, I'm gonna be reacting to them reacting to fan fictions about them. That's what you guys suggested a lot of, for sure. Now I'm gonna do part 1 of that on this channel, my main channel. It's DEEZY, baby. But welcome, y'all. I appreciate y'all. And then on part 2, I'm going to be reacting to on my newest channel, which is DEEZY Uncovered. Okay, so I'll put the link somewhere for y'all to just go ahead and subscribe over there so y'all don't miss, you know, uploads. Because since it's a new channel, I want to make sure y'all know what's up first. Like, where they going to be after I react to a few of these real quick. But most of them, when I react to YouTubers and their channels and stuff, I'm going to put most of those videos on that channel, DEEZY Uncovered. So, yeah. But I wanted to react to this one over here because it's a coming out story time, okay? I have my coming out story time as well as me eating some spaghetti tacos, okay? It's on my channel, so just check it out. I'm gonna like the video, y'all. Make sure y'all like this video for some more, alright? Y'all are lit so far. I'm enjoying y'all. What y'all call y'all sis? The Sturniolo squad? Sturniolo squad? Like, I don't know. But y'all let me know. Hey, I haven't subscribed to them yet because I'm gonna give them a chance. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give them a chance. I'm just playing. I'm just gonna subscribe, y'all, of course, because I want y'all to subscribe to me. So what am I talking about? I ain't gonna put the bell on, you know, but y'all can put the bell on for me if y'all want to see my reactions to them. Without further ado, let's get into this coming out story. Very personal. Let's get it. I got my headphones so I can really listen, pay attention really well. Let's go.
Matt's in the back, Nick's in the front.
All right.
Because this is Nick's video. Go ahead. I'm not gonna talk at all.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
please.
sit here and eat my sushi, big
Good.
man. My
Time for you to
veggie
be
rolls.
quiet. Chris speaks too much. This is my Nick coming out story time video, but we are in a different outfit and we are not
With Alana.
And we're not with Alana, even though we told you guys we were going to be. But that is because my camera, with like the audio was cut off and Chris kept interrupting people and it was just an all around shit video. And this is a super important video for me and like spreading awareness, and it's my story. So I wanted it to be
Better.
as good as possible. So it's like, I'd rather take the time to refilm an entire video that we...
Okay, so I'm already getting that, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, of course, part of the community myself. So, you know, I got that gaydar. I think everybody can actually tell that he has some of that in him. You know what I'm saying? You can tell from right here. But I'm ready to hear what he has to say and what his story is. I'm very curious. I love hearing coming out stories, especially from males, you know, because it's harder for them. I think it's getting easier over time, but it's still hard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad he's doing that. Nick is a real one for doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because it helps a lot of people. One, which is what he said before. He said it's important for him to get his story out, and it helps other people. So yeah, and then I don't know. I just think it's a brave thing to do. You know, with having such a huge audience, you're not knowing what kind of feedback you're gonna get, but everybody loves them. It seems so. I'm sure he had
films to show you guys, because I want this video to be as
pristine,
pristine and meaningful as I possibly can, and that's why I am also sitting in the front and Matt is sitting in the back, which is also another unusual thing. Because, as Matt said, it's not his story, it's mine, so this video kind of relates to me more, so that's why I'm taking Matt's seat, and I feel really bizarre.
Let's go.
Anyways, yeah, as we said, Nick coming out story time, so I'm just gonna literally dive in. We'll start
first.
We'll start with the story time.
Get into
like coming out story time. Before even coming out, the first process is just coming out to yourself, and by that, it's more of like a realization you make in your head, like when you are
accepting yourself. Yeah.
Fully understanding that you are what you are.
The same way you realize you're straight.
Yes, exactly.
For example, in the last video I said, I was having dreams of women when I was 6 years old. Yeah. Not to be weird. I just knew I liked girls from the second I was...
Yeah. So basically, I knew I had like...
Okay, so I have something to say about that. So... obviously, him saying that, I was just like, but you can still, down the line, eventually like boys too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's no such thing as bisexual nowadays, so it can go both ways. You know what I'm saying? No matter how early you were like, oh, you know, guys are the other way, or how early you were like, girls are the way. You won't know until you actually experiment, you know what I'm saying? And get to know that part of yourself, which is up to you if you want to experiment with that. But if you don't, then like, yeah, as far as you know, as far as the world knows, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Is what it is.
Idea that I liked guys when I was in like 8th grade, but it wasn't like 100% a certain fact in my head, where it wasn't something I like fully had realized. So I think by the time I was in 8th grade, I had like an idea, but I wasn't 100% sure. So freshman year, there were these two kids who are important to the story that we know in real life, so I'm not going to use their real names. We're going to use code names, Teresa and Rob, like we did yesterday. They're very important to the story in the aspect that I liked Rob when we were in freshman year, but I thought that I liked Teresa. So it was like really a confusing time for me, because I was talking about Teresa like I did like her, but in reality it was like I liked her boyfriend. So that's why it wasn't like, oh, I like Rob. Like, I wasn't saying that. I was saying I liked Teresa, but I meant I liked Rob. Like, in the back of my head, I knew I was talking about him, but like I wasn't 100% sure. So basically, me and my friend Alana, who you all know,
got a stain.
Me and my friend Alana, who you all know, used to like go out with them, and they are two of our closest friends at the time. So we would like go out, and like it would be a really difficult situation for me because I was confused, and I also thought that I liked them, and I had finally come to terms about it later on. So when I realized it, me and Alana were getting really close. So I was like, you know what? I should tell Alana that I like Rob, and I realized I like Rob. But before I even did that, I was like, Alana doesn't even know that I'm gay, so I can't tell her that I like Rob because she doesn't even know that I like guys in general.
You're missing a whole step. He's saying you were missing a whole step.
Oh, I thought you were telling me like I'm missing part of the story.
No.
I'm like, no, I'm not. Anyways, I was so confused. Anyways, one day, I don't know what came over me, it was like 2019, and I was like, you know what, you need to call Lana and tell her that you're gay and you realize it. Because right now, at this point, it was just like an idea in my head. Like, I was not sure that I was gay, and then I finally had finalized it. Like, freshman year, I knew I was a gay male, and I could, like, vocalize about this. So I was
and that's crazy, because I feel like I realized the same thing at the same time, which was freshman year, that I was, like, completely just into girls. Like, I knew that. Like, that year, once I knew that almost everybody there liked the same sex, like, I was like, oh, I got no reason to hide. Like, everybody here is gay. That's just how it was for me. So I'm like, people started labeling me as, like, a stud and stuff, even though I still had, like, I still wore some feminine clothes, you know what I'm saying? I didn't fully have my wardrobe together, you know what I'm saying? I didn't fully know who I was. Obviously, now I do, but, yeah, it's just funny how Yeah, freshman year was that year. I mean, I knew I've been like girls, you know what I'm saying? My first sexual encounters with a girl was 6th grade, so.
I called Alana because she was the like #1 person I trust. And I came out to her on the phone. I was basically just like, Alana, I'm gay, and that was it. I immediately started crying. She was crying. She was like, it's okay, I'm here for you. She's just a very supportive friend, and I appreciate Alana for that. To this day, Alana's still like my #1 supporter, and Alana like loves all 3 of us so much. Alana's just an amazing friend, so I appreciate Alana so much. And I told her first, and then from telling Alana, I knew I was like, keeping a secret like that is extremely difficult, and it's like I want to give someone. Like, I need to tell more people, first of all, and I also want Alana to be able to talk about this with someone. Like, she needs to be able to vocalize the situation so that way she doesn't go off and, like, tell other people. I knew she would never do that, but it's like, keeping a secret with someone else is easier than keeping a secret alone, because then you're, like, you know, doing it together, right? So, my friend Taylor, I was extremely, extremely close with. So, I felt extremely comfortable with Taylor. And me, Taylor, and Alana were, like, best friends, and I'm still friends with Taylor to this day, but me, Alana, and Taylor were best friends. And so I was like, you know what, Alana kind of persuaded me too. She's like, you should tell Taylor, like, you want to start telling more people, and Taylor's an extremely trustworthy person. And I agreed with her, and I knew that it was a good idea. So we went to an ice cream place near our house, and I told Taylor, with the help of Alana, and I gave my trust to another person, and I started like finding a rhythm about it, and I was like, you know what, I actually enjoy doing like this is a really good constructive thing for me. And I also gave someone, Alana, to talk to. Like, they both knew they could have like an existing conversation like about it, and like they wouldn't be telling other people because they already had someone in common. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, beautiful. So then after that, those are like the 2 most significant people in my life at this point, other than my friend Chloe. But my friend Chloe also is like, we've been friends with Chloe since kindergarten. So telling Chloe about this was the same thing as like telling Matt and Chris. And I wasn't ready for that step yet, because Chloe is basically like our sister. Like,
same with Matt Nicholas.
And same with our friend Matt N. We have known him since we were in kindergarten. Well, not Nate. He's just as close to us, but it's like he has not been our friend that long.
Yeah,
so it's like Nate is still our closest friend, but he's not equate to like Chloe and Matt N to the point
Chloe
where
and Matt N were Chloe and Matt N.
I group with Matt and Chris because they've known me my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, Nathan is my best friend, and he's just as equal of my best friend as them, but he hasn't known me since I was a little kid. So it's like Matt, Chris, Chloe, and Matt N were like all on the same spectrum of like my closest friends. Like, I've known them my entire life. So telling Matt N and Chloe, I was like, I wanted to tell them because they were significant in my life, and I really wanted them to know, but it wasn't something I was prepared for, because that was equal to me as like coming out to Matt and Chris, and I wasn't ready for that step yet. So after I told Taylor and Alana, I was comfortable telling more people, and one of my really good friends now, Michaela, we weren't as close when I told her. Like, it was kind of like me actually coming out to Michaela was like a signifier in our friendship. Like, she knew that I trusted her 100%, and that is honestly what sparked our friendship and made it like the best friendship that I have. Like, me and Michaela are best friends. Like, after I told Michaela, we were hanging out like every week or so, and then it started, like, it grew from that, where me and her were hanging out every single day after school, and it was like, it really sparked mine and Michaela's friendship off to a good start. So it's like, the reason I didn't refer to Michaela as like, oh, my best friend, because she wasn't at the time, but when I told her that, that's what made her my best friend up until now. Like, me and Michaela are best friends, and it was starting from that moment. So after I had told them 3, I was like, it's so comfortable to the point where it's like, I was like going up to whoever. So it's like people I was just meeting, like, especially at the high school. Like, by my sophomore year, Jaden and Allie, these 2 girls came to our school, and we introduced ourselves to them, and we became really close. I told them, and then I met like other freshmen like every single year. It was just more people, and I was like, people who I wasn't even that close with, I just felt comfortable telling, because it's like they don't know me well enough to the point where it's like it doesn't even matter to them. So it was just like,
it's like what I said yesterday. It's like if you're walking by a stranger and you're like, oh, I'm gay, and then they just kept walking. It's like that.
Yeah, like
obviously it's not. They're not equal to strangers.
Like, they're probably proud of you, but they're just like, oh, good for that stranger. But it doesn't like directly impact them because they don't know you like that.
Exactly.
So it's like, for meeting new people and making new friends, it was something I was so comfortable doing, because it was like people who didn't know me well enough, where like their judgment, although it was appreciated if it was positive, if it was ever negative, it wouldn't impact me to like slow me down. So that was kind of my understanding. Like, I was coming out to people like weeks after knowing them. So like, I was just making a bunch of friends, and just becoming their friend and like telling them immediately. So it got to the point where I told my significant true friends, and then a bunch of people who I'm like friends with still, but like aren't like my closest people in my life, and I had told about like 30 people, like just like this and that, like immediately. And then it started like to get to the point where it's like I'm telling so many people, and it's like, yeah, this is productive and this is fun and this is good for me, but it's like, is this really getting you in the direction like you're ready to like vocalize this fully? Like
you're still hiding it
like
from your brothers.
Yeah, like I'm still not telling the most important people, so is this really changing anything?
Yeah.
So I realized like
I think it's a step, you know what I'm saying? First of all, the first step, of course, they already went through is the fact that you have to accept yourself. And then it's like, I mean, once you accept yourself, you can tell whoever is like really close to you, people whoever you feel like telling. Then whenever you feel like it's the time to tell, you know, like your siblings, your family, your mom, dad, all of them, then, you know what I'm saying, you'll know when it's the right time for sure. I mean, unless you're like me and get caught.
Need to start telling people who are like very significant to me, or like this is just going to be headed in the same direction forever. So I was like, you know what, I don't have to necessarily tell Matt and Chris right away, but I should tell people who are extremely close to me. And the last 3 people who I felt comfortable telling that were extremely close to me were Matt and Chloe and Nathan. And so Nathan, Matt, and Chris are always together. Like, yes, we are equally friends with Chloe and Matt N, but Nathan and Matt and Chris I equate as like one being. Like, their knowledge is all the same. Like, everything they do is the same. Like, they share one head. So it's like I couldn't go off and tell Nathan alone because Nathan is part of them. Where it's like Chloe and Matt N, yes, they've been our closest friends and they're on the same level, but they don't share a mind with these two. So I knew I could go to them and like tell them. So Chloe, she had an idea too. Like, it was like an existing fact that I was
everyone had
gay
an
at this
idea.
point. Like, everyone had an idea. I'm a gay person. Like, it's like average gay traits. Not saying like, oh, straight men have feminine attributes. Yeah, obviously. But it's just like at that point you could tell I was gay by like a glance, which is a good thing. I'm not saying this is a negative thing. Like, I'm okay with that. But Chloe had an idea, and like I had given her ideas about it. Like, she knew. So basically me coming out to Chloe was honestly one of the easiest things I had ever done, because it wasn't like coming out to Chloe like, oh, this big thing. It was like confirming it to Chloe. Like, it was confirming to both of us, like, oh, I'm gay. She was like, awesome, hugged me, and we went back in her room and watched a movie. Like, we literally went in the hall while we were all watching a movie.
Me and Matt were there?
I think so. You two and Taylor, maybe. And then so we went in the hall, I told Chloe, she was like, awesome, great, and then we went back and went about our day, and nothing has ever changed. And then Matt N, it was a little bit of like a different story, where it was like, we don't hang out as often, so like when I went to tell him, I was like, I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna do this, but like we were on our way to English class, and I just like pulled him outside, and he was like one of the most he honestly, for him, it was like the first male I was telling too.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
the first
straight men is like the hardest people to talk about like being gay with, because it's like they can be some of the most judgmental people on this planet. So it's like everyone I told so far is like a teen girl. So it's like it was easier.
Yeah,
like there's straight men that are just as like nice with gay guys, but it's just like harder to find because of like toxic masculinity and all sorts of things we don't necessarily.
And like some straight men are like scared of being friends with a gay guy because they think like other straight men are gonna think like whatever of it.
Yeah, so I don't know, but
I mean, and they be thinking like that gay guy is gonna start hitting on them or something, or do some weird stuff. Like, they be just thinking the most. All right.
Matt was the first straight man I was going to tell, and I was like, I felt very comfortable with him, and I knew that he wouldn't make a big deal out of it, and that it was like we were chilling. So I basically just pulled him on the way to English class outside, and I was just like, I came out to, I was just like, oh, Matt, I'm gay. He was like, that's fine, doesn't change anything. And he was one of the most supportive people too, where he was like, are you sure? He's like, you can talk to me about it. Like, it was just like very nice to have someone who was like extremely understanding and willing to be able to talk about it. So that was,
I love Matt.
And especially Matt's reaction was such a good reaction from like a straight guy that it gave me more optimism to tell other straight guys, because I was like, his reaction was better than some of the girls. Okay, yeah, so I had checked 3 boxes where it was like the last 2 people I had to tell was Matt. Josh is gonna kill you.
Yeah, Josh.
I'm gonna text Josh and tell him you're drinking an energy
drink
right now.
Doesn't allow Matt to have energy drinks because
No, I told Josh, me and Josh have an agreement that if he sees me with an energy drink, he can tackle me into the dirt.
Because Matt's a lunatic.
Matt's a psychopath when he has energy drinks. I can handle it, Chris can handle it, Matt is scary.
Shut up,
Anyways, the last checked boxes I had to do was like my parents, Matt and Chris,
Nathan and Justin.
Matt, Chris, and Nathan, and then the world and my older brother. So it was like, me and my older brother, our relationship also from this, like, grew a lot. Like, me and him were like, I always was, like, angry at Matt and Chris and Justin just because, like, I excluded myself as a child, and it was nothing they ever did. But when I was also realizing that I was gay, I was also, like, going through a lot. So it was, like, a lot of things where I, like, made myself the victim in a bunch of situations I probably wasn't, and it's, like, Matt, Chris, and Justin could, like, do anything, or, like, even Matt, Chris, and Nathan, and it's just, like, seeing them get along as, like, the boys, and, like, knowing deep down I probably, like, didn't feel as included in that.
Yeah, like,
it made me have, like, this, like, anger toward them that, like, wasn't their fault. It was just, like, jealousy of not feeling like I fully fit in, and it wasn't their fault at all. It was just something in my head. So it's, like, Nathan, my older brother, and Matt and Chris were the hardest people I had to tell, but my older brother had moved out at that point where I was, like, I didn't feel, it's horrible to say now, but it's like I didn't feel obligated to tell him. Where it's like now, since I have posted it and he knows, he's also one of the most supportive people in my life, and he gets along with me, and he knows that it is 100% okay. And me and him, our relationship as siblings has grown 100% since that moment. And I can say the same thing about Matt and
because like
Chris.
growing up,
but it was like
Nick's best friends were like the girls, like Chloe, Michaela, Alana. Like all like Nick and like Sophia Sim growing up, like Nick had a lot of friends that he was like best friends with that were like the girls, and then he was still cool with me and Matt, but me and Matt were always like the boys. So it was like me, Matt, Madden, Jared. We were always like this.
But I always like excluded myself from those situations anyway.
Yeah,
so
he did it
like
on purpose, but it wasn't like either of our faults. We just grew up like differently. Me and not even differently. Like we were all cool. We all loved each other. But it was just, we weren't as close to Nick. And Nick used to see me and Matt in, like, the same group with the guys. And he used to think we were excluding him on purpose. When in reality, we were just with our friends.
Yeah, and it was, like, it was that way up until high school, too. So,
see, so this answered my question from the last video I did when I reacted to their funny moments. I was asking, like, if they had separate friends. That makes sense.
Like, the only reason I told Matt and Chris and not my older brother is because we had still lived together. Like, if my older brother moved out, so it was hard for me to talk to him anyway, because he just wasn't at the house as often. Where it's like, them two, I spent every day with them. So it's like, obviously I would have to tell them before posting something on the internet, because they'd find out regardless. And it was kind of the same thing with my parents too, where it's like, I spend every single moment of my life with Matt and Chris, to the point where it's like, they find out when I find out. So it's like I felt like I had to tell them, where it's like my parents, it's like I'll get it over with once Matt and Chris know. So like they weren't as important on my list, and neither was my older brother. Yeah, now we get it, we fixed our problems, but you know, it wasn't as big of an issue. So the next step was telling Matt and Chris. And so another thing is, since I like guys, my taste in girls is different than Matt and Chris's.
Yeah, valid. Very fair.
Very fair, because it's like, I'm not sexually attracted to girls.
Nick used to be like, oh, this girl's so pretty, and I'd be like,
not
yeah,
my
she's nice.
Thing. But it's just like, I used to just give bad advice to Matt and Chris, especially because I'd never been in a relationship and this and that. So it was just like, my advice was like the most meaningless thing on this earth when it came to relationships and stuff.
When it came to girls.
Yeah.
Yo, no, I thought you were just saying that in general. I was like, bro.
No, my mindfulness about everything else is pristine and important. But just about girls, it's like not as valid. Okay. I'm so scared my nipple's gonna
Yo, can you hurry up? Like, this video's gonna be an hour long.
So this is leading up to Nick telling me and Chris.
Go, get there.
We were at a volleyball game at our school one day, and there was this girl that went to our school that very openly liked me out of us three.
Had a big crush.
Don't know why,
Anyway, she liked me, so Nick was Nick was her friend at the time. They were good pals, I'd say. And Nick was like being her little wingman, her like hype guy.
Matt, you telling stories.
He was hyping her up.
Come on.
So I was basically like, oh, she liked Matt. So I was like, oh, he's my brother, I'll put you on. You know
and Nick was like, yo, Matt, date this girl. She's really nice. She likes you. Date this girl. And Matt goes, you like her so much, why don't you date her? And Nick. Oh! So that's what happened. Matt was on the phone with Nathan. We were all in the room. And that conversation happened, and Matt goes, you like her so much, why don't you date her? And Nick started going on this rampage. He got angry, and he was like, da-da, this, that, blah, 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 blah. And something, this, that, fucking, I don't even know what you said. And you're like, and I don't want you guys to think of me different if I was like a gay kid at our school, because I am. Mic drop. And that's what he said. And me and Matt were just like, jaw dropped. I don't even know why I was shocked, because I knew Nick was gay from the second I knew what gay was. Like, growing up, I just knew Nick was a gay person. I could tell.
So,
like, just him being my brother, I
He
knew.
was a gay
Anyways,
I was shocked. I was like, okay, cool. I was supportive. I literally, it made me not think, I never thought different from that day, ever. I literally just lived
and honest to God, that day and telling Matt and Chris gave me more confidence, and to the point where I had like posted it, and me coming out showed me like it directed me on the right path from there. Like, no one was negative enough that I wasn't their friend anymore, except like a couple people, but it's just like it opened my eyes a lot, and it made me more of a confident person, and it strengthened all the relationships that I had already had.
I agree.
So basically, to like finalize things and say a couple more things, that was me coming out to everyone individually and like my own journey, but coming out to everyone was during Corona had started, and I wasn't at school, and like school was an extremely toxic environment for me, and I didn't like it. So being out of school made me more confident. I started like working on myself, and so we went to the Cape with Alana during like the lockdown, because we were like, none of us, we've all been quarantined for like enough time to be able to see each other, but we still need to quarantine because of the lockdown. So we decided to take Alana with us to the Cape to quarantine together, just because it was like a different environment. So the three of us, my mom and Alana, all went to the Cape, and I told them all, I was like, alright, I think I'm gonna post this week. I don't know when. And then one day while they were sleeping, I woke up first, and I was the only one awake, and I was like, just the moment felt right. And I had like a draft posted on my Instagram, at Nick Sturniolo Photography on Instagram, underscores between all the words. It's still there, the post of me with like the mirror and like my camera. I posted photos of myself. It was like the first photos I had posted of myself on the entire internet, and basically just told everyone that I was gay, and then that was that. People were story sharing it, and then that was when YOLO was a thing, and I posted a YOLO so that like people could share their opinions, whatever. And a bunch of people stood up and were just like, oh, congrats, proud of you, whatever. And that probably like at the time was like my most liked and commented on photo.
And
like,
I think it like comments.
yeah, I had like 200 comments or something with like a bunch of people. People were texting me, and that leads me to like everyone who was being supportive, and then that just changed it from there. Like I was just like another gay kid, but it was just like, it was known, and it was just like weight lifted off of my shoulders, and I was more confident being able to do more things in my life. And then it's like also an eye-opener, like all this, I want to like shout outs to people is like all my friends that are still my friends were extremely supportive, and I appreciate them all very much. Another thing is like all the straight men that I'm friends with right now
that aren't scared to be in a
that aren't
friendship.
scared to like do like hang out with me and like be able to do stuff, and is like the most meaningful thing to me, because it's more difficult as a straight man to be able to accept things like that just because of like society's pressures and stuff. So it's like being able to have like such a strong knit group of straight male friends as a gay male is like something I am super thankful for. So it's like my friend Josh, Aiden, Jake, Matt, Nathan,
Nikki,
Evan, like all the straight men that I'm
Elmer.
friends with. Yeah, it's like there's so many guys that I'm friends with right now. Aiden, Matt White is just like an insane amount of guys that I'm friends with now that there's no different, and they treat me the same way they treat all their other guy friends. So it's like just a great place that I'm in.
Rock stars for
And
sure.
those are the boys.
Dude, fucking Josh is like just like easily one of the nicest people I've ever met. I could say so many nice things about Josh until the day I die, but it's like
Josh is like
all of them, like literally.
they're all so
I don't know.
nice.
Josh is just more vocal to me, and Josh, I can say more about Josh because I just like.
I could hand knit 3 compliments for each one of the guys.
Yeah, no, same. Like I'm just so thankful for all of them, and I'm thankful for like the fact that they all realize we're friends, and it's like since I'm a gay male, I'm not like immediately clinging on them as like a relationship. They accept the fact that I can be friends with men,
and they
not,
also
like,
support.
like them.
They support Nick. They support me and Chris, and they support all 3 of us in our YouTube career, everything that we do
That's what's up.
for a living. And they're just like some great.
They're just the
friends
nicest
that
people
I'm
ever.
talking
And to wrap this up, we're gonna say thank you to all of our friends and everyone we just mentioned. The people we didn't mention, you know that we're still thinking about you. We're just like slipped our
It's
mind.
off the top. You know.
All right. So I'm not gonna continue and finish it up. It's only like a minute and some seconds left, because the camera's overheating, so it's about to just shut off in a second. But I really enjoyed this. Thank you guys so much for requesting it. Stay tuned for more. Like I said, go subscribe to my new channel, KDZ Uncovered, and make sure you subscribe to this channel for more. And I love y'all. Stay tuned and stay lit. Yeah.